Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing on today? Happy Saturday. We have a jewel and a gem hanging out with us today, guys. This is a little lunchtime literary cafe. We are hanging out with Kathleen Fuller, guys. She is no stranger to the cafe. She's back, and her new book, Behind Enemy Bylines. Let me just tell you guys, I am super excited about this book. Kathy, if you do not know, you had me at the title, my friend. You had me at the
Oh,
title.
okay.
Guys, you know what to do here at the cafe. Like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because we're hanging out with Kathleen Fuller on today. And as always, Kathleen, introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me on a Saturday. My name is Kathleen Fuller. I'm a novelist, a USA Today bestselling novelist, and I write contemporary fiction. I've written a lot of Amish fiction, but if you like romance, if you like cozy vibes, that I'm your girl. I love those things, and I write
I
about those
love that.
things. hmm
Yes, yes. And Kathleen, one of the things that I enjoy about your stories is the characters and how you we feel a connection with your characters as well. And since we started off talking, I shared with you how you had me at the title. Let's talk about
hmm
that first, my friend. Behind Enemy Bylines. Was that the original working title, or did it come later? But spill a little tea about it.
Well, it was the original title, and I have to
Uh-huh.
say that my book titles almost every single time are my publisher because they know how to hook people with the titles. But it came from conversations about what the book was going to be about. So they had a couple of ideas. I mean, I submitted a couple of ideas, but somebody at my publisher came up with this, and it was perfect. And it fit the story. It's catchy,
Yes.
um, and it kind of gives a little throwback because the book is in the near past. So
Yes.
when bylines were popular, now we don't see them as much anymore, but at least not in newspaper form. So yeah, I can't take sole credit for it, but when they came up with that, I was like, that's perfect. Let's do it.
I love that. I love that. And of course, not only did you grab me with the title, but the cover. You know, I'm a book cover nerd. I love a good cover. What was that like for you, Kathleen, when you saw the final version of Behind Enemy Bylines for this cover?
Well, I really thought that they just got the whole vibe down. And
Yes.
but it was interesting because I was sent four different versions of that cover, but the difference was in the
Really?
colors. Yeah, the difference was in
Okay.
the covers. So if you're looking at the cover, it's got, like the gold and the blue and the teal and everything. So they experimented with some different background colors, and ultimately I ended up sending that out to some friends of mine, and I said, "Which ones do you like the best?" And they picked that one, and it was my favorite too. As you can see, the
Okay.
book literally matches the wall behind me. So,
Yeah.
I really like that kind of minty, bluish color. So, yeah,
Me too.
yeah, it kind of matches your shirt a little bit too. It goes with
Yes.
that.
I tried. I
Yeah,
tried.
you did
I
good.
love that. Guys, if you are just joining us, we are hanging out with Kathleen Fuller on today, guys. It is hot off the press. It's here for us to share. Let me just tell you, even though it's a change of seasons, it is the perfect book for you guys to read. Now, Kathleen, one of the things that in this book, and I don't know if you know if it's a favorite of mine, but I am a dual timeline girly. I love a dual timeline. And
Oh.
you have a dual timeline in here. We have 1995, 2005. What
Mhm.
inspired you to set the story across these two different decades?
Well, there's a couple inspirations, and the first one I want to say is it's inspired by, very loosely inspired by, some friends of mine who actually met at a newspaper back in I think it was the late 80s, early 90s. And now they're not the same. They have different roles. And so I just wanted to loosely base it on them, and they were kind enough to let me do that. So that was part of it. But the other part
Nice.
of it was because I wanted to explore the newspaper business. and the newspaper business has switched to digital. You still find some little small town newspapers, but for the most part, I mean, and the larger ones, people who want a paper copy can get one, but for the most part, newspapers are digital. So I wanted to go back to that time where everybody went every morning, there
Yeah.
was a newspaper at their front door or down at their mailbox or something like that. And but I also wanted to show the transition of, and kind of the juxtaposition of, progress versus somebody who firmly believes that we need to stay in the past and has very good reasons for it. So there were quite a few things that kind of came about in trying to choose the timeline. And I do think that this was the perfect timeline. And jumping ahead 10 years was, good afternoon, Mary. Hi, Mary. I know Mary. So yeah, yeah, I know, lost my train of thought, squirrel, but yeah, so it was all worked together with what I wanted to explore in the story, basing it on friends of mine, and then investigating something that I didn't know anything about. So it was kind of that.
I love that. I love that. Now let's talk about these characters a little bit, and we'll also talk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about their relationships. So, guys, we have Jade, and we also have Sebastian. But if you had to describe Jade's character, what would you tell us about her?
Um, I, I think it's going to be odd, and I'm gonna try not to give away spoilers,
Hmm.
but I think loyalty is a big one. Now, it may not seem that way when you read what happens to them in the beginning of the book,
Right.
but she has such loyalty to her brother,
Mm.
and to the point where it crossed, she learned that she had to have boundaries set up. She has, so just a little bit about her. She grew up in foster care, in and out of her mom's care. And so when she was in foster care, she had a younger brother that she felt like she was a mom figure for. And the younger brother went through his own troubles, and this is all backstory. So when you're coming to it, she and her brother are at odds, but she still loves him and is loyal to him. And in the end, she's also loyal to other people, but she had to go through her journey as somebody that had to learn boundaries. So the loyalty was
Mm.
always there. Once she learned how to handle the loyalty within the boundaries, then she was able to have healthier relationships. But
Yeah.
when the first thing that comes to mind is loyalty. But readers
Mm.
may disagree who have read this, because it doesn't seem to come through in the beginning of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what can you tell us about Sebastian's character?
Oh, Sebastian. I think Sebastian is an old soul. I
Mm.
think that that's why he really insists on keeping the newspaper the way it is and not wanting to sell it to a conglomerate. I think that he had his own problems with his parents that kind of influenced how he looked at relationships. Hi, Ellen. Thank you for joining us. And so I think that he also has to have some boundaries around his heart, because when he tumbles
Yeah.
into love, he
Ooh.
goes feet first, rolls, does a somersault, backflip until he's deep in it. And often when it's not necessarily reciprocated at the same level. So he by the time they reconnect 10 years later, they both have this ice around their hearts that has to melt, and
Mm.
it's there for a good reason. But I love Sebastian. He's a serious favorite of mine. I've got like a handful. I love all my characters. It's like trying to pick your kids, but some have a little bit of the edge. Not my children, but character wise. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, my kids are watching. Sorry guys, that's not true. But anyway, so so yeah, but yeah, he was a fun character to write, because his character arc was a little bit different, because he didn't change as much,
Mm-hmm.
but he did have to change. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I hope that
Oh my
answers your
goodness.
question.
Guys, if you're just joining us, we're hanging out with the one and only award-winning author, Kathleen Fuller.
Thank you.
Guys, her latest release, Behind Enemy Lines, is available now. We'll be sharing with you how you can get your hands on a copy of it. And guess what, guys? It's available in all three formats, ebook, audio, and print. So we'll be sharing that with you in just a little bit. Now, Kathleen, you kind of touched on something, and you were saying how Sebastian's like he also kind of had to create boundaries around his heart. How did
Mm-hmm.
you shape his how did you shape Sebastian into someone who balances his heartbreak with loyalty to his hometown paper?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think it's looking inward and being true. True to
Mm,
himself. So being
okay.
honest, maybe honest is a better word for it. So,
Okay.
you know, he and it's hard to say this without spoilers, so I'm gonna dance around it.
Okay.
Um, but in order he had to realize where he was being too stubborn and when he had to face the reality of maybe I have a part in some of the stuff that's going on. Some of it with Jade, I have a part in why, we're not working out. And then I have a part in because this isn't a spoiler. The newspaper's failing and he has done
Hmm.
everything he can to keep it going because he's so loyal to his hometown. He's loyal to the newspaper. He believes that the newspaper business is dying and he knows that, and there's some reality to that because I realized in my research, just to get a little off topic, is that newspapers, especially in small communities, held them together. It was how you found out where community meetings were, how you learned how to
Yeah.
vote, how you found out who was getting married, who was having a baby. And so we're kind of missing that. And so he's like I said, an old soul, and he firmly believes that he needs to keep this paper alive. The problem is that he has to be realistic. And it's not
Mm,
until he can take that look inside himself and then figure out where he needs to correct, where he's being too stubborn, where he's not being realistic, what's more important, his pride or the newspaper surviving in his relationship with Jade. So he had to
wow.
look inward a lot.
Kathleen, you are spilling the
Thanks,
tea.
man.
You are spilling the tea, and we are so here for it. Guys, if you're just joining us, I'm hanging out with Kathleen Fuller. It's her latest book, Behind Enemy Bylines. And of course, guys, we like to be interactive here. If you have a question or a comment, definitely put it in the comment section because we love to include you in on the conversation on today as well. Now, speaking of the characters, and we're gonna get a little bit deeper and talk a little bit about some other stuff too. But I want to go back to Jade's character, Kathleen, and you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of spill as much tea as you can. But for you, what drew you to her character and to give her that with a foster care background and deep trust issues? Like how did you know that you wanted that to be kind of like her a part of her characteristics?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of interesting because sometimes when I write characters, they come a little more fully formed. Like I kind of know their backstory. I kind of know, what they've been through and things like that. But basically, what I started with her was that, okay, well, I wanted them to separate at the beginning of the book, and I wanted Jade to leave. And I had to figure out what would be a good reason for her to leave. So that was actually the impetus. And when I started thinking about, oh, she's got this little brother. And then it started like, oh, well, this is something I haven't done is talk about the foster care system. And I don't go into depth about that because
Mm,
that's not necessarily what the book is about. The book is not about the foster care system, but it is about some effects of being in foster care coming from families that are broken and how the adults have to deal with that. So it kind of goes to that.
mm-hmm.
That kind of once I kind of pinpointed that, I was like, okay, that is definitely her, and that is what I wanted to explore. So going from where she is in the beginning to not having those boundaries, feeling insecure, being separated from her family, how does she overcome that? How does she
Yeah.
and then also leaving Sebastian hanging, and then she has to work with him. So how does she overcome
Right.
that? Right. And so that's how her journey started. So a lot of times when you write characters, it's like, okay, what if this, what if that, and how do they do this, how do they do that? So that's how that happened with her.
Wow. Thank you for sharing a little bit of the backstory for that as well.
Hmm.
Now, community plays a role in this, but what
Hmm.
would you say the community, what is the role that the community play in pushing Jade and Sebastian back together?
Hmm. Well, oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Well, the community itself is kind of a character.
Yeah, it
So,
is. It is.
Sebastian is is one of their own, just like everybody else in the community. But when they see that, I mean, it's pretty obvious Sebastian's still in love with her. So then, there's not really too much matchmaking going on, but folding Jade into that community brings her closer, not just proximity wise, but also emotionally, not just to Sebastian, but to his sister. Um, and other people in the community. And so if you think about it, that's what Jade has been missing in her life, is that
Yeah.
community, because she's always felt like, for somebody that didn't have boundaries with her brother, she's always felt like she's had to keep people, a distance from her because of, her foster care background and how she handles it. That's not to say everybody in foster care has the same situation and has to keep that distance. For Jade, that was how she felt she had to handle things.
Yeah.
So I think when you got to have a very, loving and cohesive community like Clementine is, it's just kind of natural. They're protecting their own, and they're seeing somebody that would fit very well into the fold.
Yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of Clementine,
Mm-hmm.
what can you tell us about Clementine? Because, like you said, the community and Clementine, Little Rock, they're all like characters in itself too. But what
Mm-hmm.
can you tell us about Clementine?
Well, Clementine is a southern small town, but um, I have not. I've lived in one smallish town in Geneva,
Smallish.
Ohio. Right. But I grew up in Little Rock, not a small town. The town I live in now is not necessarily a small town. But in writing Amish fiction, I wrote about a lot of small towns, and I also made up my small towns. And so I find that there are things that, while there's their own culture with a small town, a lot of them are similar. So Clementine is one of those towns where everybody knows your name, and that can be very unfortunate because everybody knows your business, which can also be unfortunate. But it also, when people know your business and know your name, they get protective of you, like I said before.
Mm.
And so, because there's another character, Callista, that is in town, and she is also one that was, she's from LA and she's young and she doesn't want to be there, but she was starting to find the charm of Clementine. So just a little bit about it. It's they have a hoedown, and the hoedown is not in the fall. It's what was it, Memorial Day? And so I wanted to have kind of a unique thing going on with that. And then we have the farmers, and then we have the, just all those things. So I would say Clementine is unique in some ways, but it's very much relatable if anybody's ever been in a small town or visited a small
Uh-huh.
town. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a mishmash of every small town you've been in, but a little bit unique.
I love that. Now, speaking of the characters, is
Mhm.
there a character that was like interesting, borderline fun for you to write? And then on the flip side, I have to ask, is there a character that was a little more complex?
Yes. Okay, so Sebastian was one of my favorites. Now, as far as fun to write, that was Callista. So we haven't talked much about her. I've just mentioned her, but she is, so her she's the spoiled, very rich, typical LA girl. Yes, she's very stereotypical. And she ends up having to go visit her ex-stepmother in Clementine, and her ex-stepmother was married to her father, and her ex-stepmother had decided to put her modeling career behind her and move to the small town to marry this farmer guy. So that's a little bit of the backstory. But when Callista gets to town, the fun part of writing her was that journey of how she goes from being a snotty, self-absorbed kid to having some maturity on her. And oh, thank you, Ellen. I think it's sweet,
Mhm.
but I'm biased. And then also, she's another one. One of the things is like families, like all of my characters in the story are missing pieces of their family, and so Callista has cycled through stepmothers. Vivian hasn't had her own kids, so she considers Callista a child, one of her children. And then we've got Sebastian, and his parents split up, and then Jade in foster care. So it's all about healing and growing and finding family where you find it. And they say that you have your biological family, but you also have your family in your community and in your friends and extended relatives and stuff. So that's kind of what happened. But getting Callista from that point of being a brat to where she was being a part of Clementine and part of the Clementine Times. Was really cool. It was fun. And you could go back and think I had to, think about, okay, what kind of tech would she use? And it was a Razor phone, and she was listening to Britney Spears and, all kinds of little tidbits I put in there that would be, very pop culture back then. Which I was still much older than she was back then. So I had to really think about it, but yeah, so she was fun. I
Have
liked
to
her.
share with us, what was that research like that? Did you just kind of like Google what was going on? Did you have nieces and nephews that, where did you get that information from?
Well, I really had to think because my children at the time were around, I think they were about 8, 9, and 10. And so they
Okay.
really weren't using technology. They weren't really listening. I mean, I think they were listening to Britney Spears, but and then so I have a niece that's 8 years older than my oldest. So I was thinking about what did she use? And then I Googled, and then I thought about what did I use? Like, what was the phone and I remember having a Razor phone and I loved it. I thought it was
Uh-huh.
way cool with this little thing. And then I listen to pop music too. So I had to remember what I listened to. I just didn't listen to Britney. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. But so, yeah, I definitely had to Google it because I wanted to make sure I had it right, because some things I thought might be, and the same with, the early 1990s,
Yeah.
that I thought were timely were not. They either came way before or way later. So I definitely had to Google for authenticity and make sure I was adding the right things. But that was fun. It was a blast from the past. I enjoyed it. And I could have put
I'm
in a lot
sure.
more. I could have put in a lot more, but I thought, people are here for characters and story. They're not necessarily here for all the little details. So that's yeah.
I love that. Now, I want to ask you this, because for Jade, how does small town life contrast with her career ambition, Atlanta?
Right. Well, she wanted to get away. I mean, you think about Little Rock could be considered a small town compared to Atlanta. So she wanted to escape everything, to go to Atlanta. I mean, she had an ulterior motive. I'm not going to, and it's a good one, but I'm not going to spoil it.
You got to
So
read the
she
book to
just,
find out what it is.
that's right. Exactly. Exactly. And so she thought by leaving where she was and going to a large town that she would make it big. And the large town to her symbolized making it big. And that did not materialize for her. But as soon as she was back in Arkansas, where she never wanted to go back to, she realized eventually that that's home and that's where she's comfortable. So it's one of those things. And I honestly, I went through that too, because when I got married, my husband was 8 months pregnant, and we had been married for like 10 months. And he's like, how would you like to move to Cleveland? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. You're young, you're like, you want to explore the world of Cleveland, but it sounded more exotic than Little Rock. And then 8 years ago, we moved back, and I miss Ohio, but I also feel home. Things are familiar to me here. It feels like
Mm.
home. So in a way that kind of mirrors, I understood that when I was writing Jade, the returning home. And that's not a new theme or anything like that, but it was really interesting to explore that. It was a good question. Very good.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing,
Mhm.
guys. If you're just joining us, we're hanging out with Kathleen Fuller, her latest release, Behind Enemy Bylines. And guess what, guys? She is spilling some tea. So let me just tell you, sit back, enjoy. You probably have your warm beverage as well. We'll be sharing with you in just a bit how you can get your hands on a copy of it. It is available in all three formats: ebook, print, and audiobook. So whatever suits your fancy, you can enjoy her latest release, Behind Enemy Bylines. Now, Kathleen, we're going to switch it up a little bit, my friend.
Sure.
I'm going to give you 3 words, and I want for you to share with us what's the first thing that comes to mind. And these 3 words, they will be pertaining to, enemy bylines
Okay.
as well. So whatever comes to mind, share with us. Okay. So the first
Okay.
one is a trust, ambition, heartbreak. Trust, ambition, heartbreak.
Well, Jade.
Yeah.
Jade came to mind
Yeah.
with that. Yeah,
Okay.
which is interesting because at the beginning of this I said loyalty, but now those 3 words describe her as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
3 more.
Hmm.
Love, loyalty, betrayal. Love, loyalty,
Okay, so
betrayal.
that's Sebastian. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sebastian.
Look at that.
Yeah, yeah, Sebastian.
Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. We're gonna go into like the newsroom a little bit,
Okay.
journalism and the setting there. So
Hmm.
newsroom deadlines pressure, newsrooms deadline pressure.
Um, well, the first thing that comes to mind is the editor part of it. So that's the job that Sebastian has,
Yeah,
is the head of the newspaper. So all that is running the newsroom, the pressure of the deadlines, all of that. So I would say it's more of a job than an actual character or, something else. So I would say newspaper editor.
I love that. Okay, just a couple more. Um, reunion, healing, family. Reunion, healing, and family.
Mm. Reunion, healing, and family. That's a spoiler, so I'm not going to say that. I'm connecting all these to the
Okay.
book. Is that okay? Or did you want just like a general?
Yeah,
First thing that came to mind was happiness. Okay, first thing that comes to mind is happiness because you said reunion. What was the other two? So I don't get those wrong.
family and healing. Reunion, family, and
Right.
healing.
So the first word that comes to my mind is happiness because once you've gotten
I
all that,
like
you've
that.
reunited, you've healed, and you're with your family. That hopefully you've healed with and from. That's happiness.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, last one.
Okay.
Hope, forgiveness, resilience. Hope, forgiveness, and resilience. What comes to mind?
Faith, my faith,
I like
my
that.
Christian faith.
I like
Absolutely.
that.
All three of those describe it.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, we got to have a little fun, Kathleen. We got to play
Okay.
around
This
of
has
this
all
or
been
that.
fun, though.
But I promise you, my friend, there is no right or
Mhm.
wrong answer because it is all things according to Kathleen Fuller. And
Okay.
Kathleen, this is this or that behind enemy bylines edition. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, this or that. Chasing promotion in Atlanta or seeing the Clementine Times.
Oh, protecting the Clementine times. Yep.
Okay.
Not even a double thought on that.
Okay, this is another one. And again, it pertains to the
Mhm.
book. Ambition first or love first? Ambition first or
Love.
love first? Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh. Huh, that depends. I'm going to lean towards love. I mean, I am a romance writer, so love is always going to be right there. But
I
I would
love
say
it.
that it can depend. But for this, I'm going to say love.
I love it. Okay, now this one is kind of I'm curious of your answer. Springtown hoedown or quiet evenings on the porch?
Oh, hoedown. Hoedown. You know what? Yeah, and I don't even like country music, but let's do a hoedown. Let's do
Let's do a hoedown.
The Sadie Hawkins dance. Let's eat funnel cakes and corn dogs on a stick. So I'm there. Yep.
I love that. I love that. And Amy, of course, this one is for the cafe, my friend. Are you team tea or team coffee?
Oh, coffee. You don't even just stop right there. I am coffee. Like my husband says, just get an IV, hook it up into my arm. I'll be happy.
Now,
Yep.
Amy, you have to share with us how do you take your coffee, my friend?
I take my coffee with a lot of creamer in it, but no sugar.
Okay.
And so if it's really strong, I put salt in it. So if you have a
Really?
bit, yeah, if you have a bitter cup of coffee or one that's too strong, put a little salt in it, and that cuts back on the bitterness. Works every time.
Coffee drinkers, Amy just dropped some tea.
Hmm.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Did you guys know that? Put that in the comment section for the coffee drinkers out there as well. Thank you for share how you take your coffee
Yeah.
as well. Now,
Mhm.
Amy, this is a little coffee kind of writer behind the scene. Now, when you get ready to start writing, do you have a fresh cup of Joe ready to go into the writing cave, or what does that coffee experience look like?
Oh, okay. So I have a writing routine that I do. And
Okay.
so before I write, I crochet because those y'all that know me, I'm obsessed with crochet. So what I do
Uh-huh.
in the mornings is I fix my coffee and then I crochet. I work on something. I actually have a prayer shawl ministry that I've been doing, but I also work on other things like my newsletter. Just give a little plug. Every month I give away a book and a crochet item if you are a member, if you
Nice.
join my newsletter. So I work on those projects. And then around 8 o'clock or so, 7 o'clock, if I'm on a deadline, I take water with me and I go in the office and then I start to work. So I don't, it's weird. you know what? Now that I'm talking, I do not drink coffee when I'm working. It's just like once
Wow,
I'm done with
really
my
now?
coffee, then that's like the clue to start my writing. And I write better in the mornings, and then I quit about 2 or 3 o'clock when I'm working
Well, talk
on a
about
book.
some Kathleen Fuller
Mhm.
writer behind the scene tea. I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. Kathleen, it has been amazing hanging out with you, my friend. The time has went by so fast. Guys, we've been talking about behind enemy bylines. Of course, Kathleen have an amazing giveaway. I know what the giveaway is going to be, but I'm going to allow Kathleen to share with you what her amazing giveaway is today.
Okay, so the giveaway is a signed copy of Behind Enemy Bylines, and it's also a crocheted item, and that's going to be a
Love
surprise. So I'm
that.
not going to tell you what it is, but that's going to be a surprise for
Did you
anybody.
guys hear that? It is a signed copy of Behind Enemy Bylines, and it is a Kathleen original. One of her crochet items will be included in the giveaway as well. And of course,
Mhm.
guys, you know what to do. All you had to do to be in the running for this amazing giveaway is to participate by commenting in the comment section throughout the broadcast on today. Now, I'm going to get my friend Kathleen to help me. I'm going to go up and down the comment section, and Kathleen is going to tell me when to stop. And then that person will be the winner of this amazing giveaway on today as well. So, Kathleen, I am ready, my friend. And
Okay.
so, when you tell me when to stop, I will click on that person, and that will be the winner today. I'm ready when you are.
2, 3, stop.
Okay. Is one of your coffee loving
Uh,
friends.
yeah.
Caitlin said, I drink coffee at work sometimes, but
Mhm.
normally water. All right.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for joining us today. If you will inbox me your information, my
Mhm.
friend, I'll be sure to get that over to Kathleen. So you will get your amazing giveaway, which is a signed copy of Behind Enemy Bylines and a special crocheted item by Kathleen Fuller as well. Thank you guys so much for playing around
Mhm.
of the this of that, as well as the 3-word association. Kathleen, thank you for sharing that with us too.
Mhm.
And Kathleen, we have to ask you, my friend, please share with us, how can we get our hands on a copy of Behind Enemy Bylines?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so you can go to my website, kathleenfuller.com, and click on the books tab, and all of my books will be up there. And Behind Enemy Bylines is the first one, and then you can click on that, and that is going to take you to where you can purchase the book. You'll have different choices. You can get the Audible, the Kindle. You can go to Barnes and Noble. There's a couple other ones on there. But what I want to really tell y'all is that Behind Enemy Bylines, I think it is on sale right now, but also Audible is running a sale. All of my Audible books for the month are on sale. So if you have book loving friends, this is a great time. Books make a great gift. I think you can gift the book on Audible, but I'm not sure. I know you can gift Kindle books. So this is a prime time with the big sale going on to buy your gift your book loving friend a book or two. And if it's not
Yes,
mine,
and
then
gifts
your
make,
favorite author.
we say it
Yeah.
all the time, books make
Yeah.
great gifts. Books make great gifts as well. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that, guys. As you
Yeah.
heard from Kathleen, you can go to her website. We will actually put that link in the comment section, and then you can click on it, and there will be all the things in there of the different options of how you can get your hands on a copy, whether it's ebook, audio, or print as well. And
Mhm.
Kathleen, please share with us, my friend, how can we stay connected with you? And be sure to also remind them about your amazing newsletter.
Oh, yes. That's the best way to stay connected with me is through the newsletter. I have one every month. I also do a video every month just for newspaper. Here we go. Newsletter subscribers. And also, there's a contact form too where you can reach me through email. Now, I'm starting my Instagram and my Facebook. It laid a little dormant. I've had a few surgeries this year, so it's kind of been behind doing social media, but I'm ramping that up. So on my website, you can find out where you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. So I'll be on there. But newsletter, I really encourage you to sign up for that because that's really the best way to find out about me, what projects I have going on. I have a big crochet project going on right now that is called a Read and Crochet Along on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. about it. It's on my website as well. So yeah, there's lots
That
of
is
different ways.
awesome, Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those who crochet as well, tune into that as well on her
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel. And of course, Kathleen, it has been amazing hanging out with you guys on today and talking about Behind Enemy Bylines. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about your latest release as well. And Kathleen, of course, my friend, you know I have to allow you the last words of what you want to say to the people today.
Well, here's what I want to say. I want to say that this woman is amazing. So I'm going to compliment you because it's been a little bit of a chore getting us together, and that's kind of been on my end. Like I said, I've had a few surgeries this year, and she has been lovely and gracious, and she's so enthusiastic about our book. So I just want to applaud you, my friend. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do.
You are
And
so
yeah,
welcome.
yes,
You
that's
are
my
so
last word.
welcome, my
Merry
friend.
Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you guys. Go out and get a copy of Behind Enemy Bylines, whether it's ebook, audio book, or print. Give someone with a copy of it because, like we said, books make great gifts as well. Kathleen, we've had an amazing time on today. And as we
It's fun.
always say, guys, have an amazing day because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Bye bye.
Bye.